Hello. Here's an interesting recording for you. With all that is going on in the background, even today, there's military stuff going on in the background, like what we said before with the secret soldiers, with the phased soldiers. But they're fighting a little war they probably shouldn't be, or I shouldn't say probably, they should not be. Um, causing energetic unrest and civil unrest in places to basically cover some of their actions. We've said this about the cabal causing false flags and stuff, but I mean, they're doing like little ones on the side, uh, distractor type ones. But also, um, you may be getting messages in your head from them as well, trying to recruit people to help them. The thing of it is, if you don't help them, they tend to try to stifle psychic abilities. They don't do a whole lot except send directed energy weapons and stuff like that at you. They tend not to show up. They might, but it's rare. I mean, they've been doing stagecrafting stuff, blaming different alien groups and such. But what they're doing is using voice to skull to send recruiting messages, putting images in your head like, oh, how great it would be to live your video game fantasy out, or to play, you can be a hero to the people, sort of thing, kind of like in the Army and Armed Forces recruitment ads that you always see. Even in the new Space Force ones, saying, oh, space exploration, look how great it is. Like what we have been saying, the Cabal showing SSP Light. Yeah, yeah, this is similar, uh, where they're trying to say, oh, we need your help with this. You know how many times they've asked for my help, and I've turned it down numerous times. We don't want any part of that war. And they don't understand this, like how we would not want to fight for our people. Well, it's a war they started, so I don't have too much sympathy. Um, and they're playing along with what these space Nazis want them to do. So I don't really have too much sympathy. Uh, Not fighting for either side here. So that said, like I said, in your head you will see this epic set of imagery, like you're playing Call of Duty or defeating somebody in an arena or something like that, like some epic thing followed by thoughts of, wouldn't you want to be this person and be venerated by the crowd, sort of thing. This is a current thing that's going on, folks. Just in case I'm not able to mention this on Interstellar Council, the opportunity doesn't come up. I'm mentioning this now. So, yeah, this is what's actually going on. You'll get this feeling of this extreme sense of pride and exuberance. You'll get this feeling of like feeling epic or feeling wanted or feeling special in some way. Don't fall for it. It's them trying to recruit people. Like along with the ones I said were patrolling neighborhoods with the parabolic sound weapons and such. That's still going on, but then they added this extra bonus to it. So just to warn people, that's what's going on. Don't give in to this. Be yourself. Be your creative self. Be you. Know who you are. Know what you don't want around. And if you don't want their little private war anywhere near you, co-create it away from you and co-create it out of existence. Don't give in to cabal gaslighting, like Two Holmes said. Don't give in to any of this. It's a trick, folks. It's a trick. Even if some of them don't know it, it's a trick. So, I just needed to say that. Okay, it's 9:31 a.m. on Friday, November 13th. Friday the 13th. Dun dun dun. 2020. Thank you. Okay. This recording is going to be about some more military instances of those types that go through neighborhoods with the little weapon I talked about on the Patreon. these are basically the same. They're going from neighborhood to neighborhood, keeping individual houses in a low vibration. And what they're doing is making sure that when they roll the COVID vaccine out, that people are in the receptive vibration to have it mess with them. If you're up further up the ladder, it has no effect. Because the soul DNA recopies the proper template back onto the physical human DNA, and it cancels out the COVID vaccine. See, this was their plan all along with this. Get people sick, worried, scared. Now rolling out something that they think will make them completely controllable. But the thing of it is, they already control people, so that part doesn't completely make sense. They already do it. They have been doing it for decades. So, but this, they seem to think this would make them even more so. Why they would think that is a mystery. But yeah, this military left here last night very frustrated. And they also, in transparent form, were here today after my session. But it also seems that there is a physical component that will raise vibrations quickly as well, like spray component, liquid component. Seems my mix blend of all the flowers and spices and herbs seems to do it. And healing components. Colloidal silver is another one. Amber, the type, you can get it from Viking on oricblends.com. He has it in little wooden boxes and little wooden round containers. That seems to work. And it seems to absorb sickness. And this works on COVID itself, too. All natural methods work on this. There's no reason to have an RNA resequencer at all. And also the fact that they've pitted people, believers and non-believers, against each other, that's already in low vibration. So I guess they wanted to keep it steady enough to when they got the vaccine out. And but if you're in high enough vibe, it may not work. But also coupled with certain components, also pieces, parts, and components that people have in their homes, like different spices and herbs. It seems to be able to detox, and I feel something very spicy would do it too, like vegetables with cassaicin oil, such as jalapenos, ghost peppers, habaneros. That's another area. I wouldn't put that in a spray. I'd end up with mace, but no. This seems to be something that can keep it away as well, or keep the vibration up, or purge contaminants, I should say. The body's purging of contaminants. There's other things that will take the vibration up, such as the ambers and the sages and basils and mints. That's another one. Yeah, there's one that would purge contaminants, such as those particular vegetables. Anything with antioxidants, I believe, is what I'm getting. And then you also have the etheric component to keep these waves away, such as with shungite, orgone pieces, like these weapons they're using, these rifle-looking parabolic psionic rifles. This actually keeps them more at bay. Even though they've been able to fire things at the house, I still have all these coils and stuff to where it made it a little harder. So therefore, they've had to physically show up in the neighborhoods. It's throughout Prescott and Prescott Valley, but I feel it's all over the place. People are seeing them as ghosts. You've heard me talk about them before. This even now I got a raging headache from it. But uh, this this is what was coming to me. People have these things in their homes. If not, you can order them. Uh, these soldiers can be pushed out of your home with certain vibrations. Also cleansings, such as also playing proper music and musical tones. They seem to not like them. They seem to their cloaking devices can't seem to be around them. But let me see here. This this is what I came to say. They see they're trying to confuse the matter, but in short, amber. It's like this amber balm, and little you can rub it into the skin and everything. You can also make tinctures out of it. They use it in Wiccan ceremonies. Seems to help. Get it on Viking's site or blends.com or get it on Etsy. There's plenty of vendors on there. Oh, but you'll end up waiting for it. It comes from Lithuania. Um, Viking seems to be one of the only American vendors for this. So, uh, also different spices, and different herbs such as basils, uh, things of that nature. Chili powder seems to work. Cayenne pepper seems to work. That's what I'm picking up. Uh, Things with capsaicin oil such as jalapenos, habaneros, ghost peppers. That may make your blood pressure go up, but it's actually purging contaminants if you've already had this vaccine when it comes out. Uh, but etherically, the idea is keep the vibration up so that the etheric DNA can recopy the proper codes and codexes back on the physical DNA. If you lose access to that, then nobody can help you. But the idea is not to actually be battling each other over this. And, I would stay away from the vaccine at all costs. But if you're absolutely in a situation where you're stuck with it, these things will help. And in the case of an RNA resequencer, the etheric DNA already has a copy of what the template you're supposed to have. I know that's not very comforting, but that's what's there. Like a hard drive backup. Think of it that way. Without the dangerous AI, of course. All right. It is 11:25 a.m. on November the 18th, Wednesday, 2020. Thank you. Okay. People have been asking me what these new monoliths are that keep popping up. And, I've said this on Facebook, but I'll reiterate. Long time ago, the Agartha Network and other galactics put certain monoliths in place to prevent the Earth from going through a violent cataclysm like it did in the ancient times. All the cataclysmic stories you heard were actually true. This is why that's why people have been saying that they think it's gonna happen again. But it was just something from the past that they're putting in front. It's been averted. It's a slow pole shift, not a violent one. What these new monoliths actually are related, unbelievably. I know some of you will probably object that are hearing this if this video spreads far and wide. Goes viral, ironically enough, that it's related to the COVID thing. And it's related to something that I started seeing 5 years ago and continue to see even up till this day. Which is, I've seen these insectoid beings walking around people, dumping these little metal triangles into people's chests. And this started on the East Coast. I saw it on the East Coast, rather, 4 years ago. But 5 years ago, I saw it in Nebraska. So, This I find this very, very interesting. You see, I'm starting to choke because somebody's trying to prevent me from saying it. I've even found these things in my own chest. These little triangles. What they do is they refractorize your energy, so it's like a bunch of little mirrors inside, not letting your energy connect, like disconnecting a laser circuit or wire or something like that by putting a block in there for the electricity or for light. You know, like if you were to bounce a laser off of a mirror. And they were a form of implant, technically, or nanobot, a different kind than the harvester kind. Uh, Also, these things were raining down in chemtrails usually. And also the components to COVID were being rained down in chemtrails. But there were stragglers that didn't get hit with chemtrails, you see. Maybe around a certain magnetic field, set of magnetic fields, a certain energetic environment. And they weren't getting hit with it, so these beings were showing up just going and just spitting these things onto them. It's rather gross, actually. I found out insectoid spit is also being used for some pharmaceuticals. I know that's disgusting, but how it fast forwards to COVID is it was smart. It's essentially smart dust, where it's cybernetics combined with biological. Also, at the same time, the 5G was also lowering people's immunity, so other sicknesses seemed like this COVID symptoms. I call COVID the barely there virus because it's essentially barely there. It's essentially an afterthought that's been turned into a major catastrophe through mostly propaganda and fear mongering and spreading. But with all these pieces and components, the monoliths, back to the monoliths, lowering the vibration, the same as the 5G, but to the extreme. Keeping, like the obelisks that you've always heard me and Joanna talk about, not only the soul trap obelisks like in Gettysburg, but the communication obelisks and the overall dampening field, trying to keep people in the 3D malaise. As you hear the word you hear Viking and me use a lot, and the Galactics use it now, to keep everybody in the 3D malaise. Well, you've also seen some of these be removed. Some are being removed by the very people that they're putting them there because maybe they just needed a certain alignment for a little while, and now they're moving them. Maybe they're short on equipment somewhere or something like that, and they have to move them. Also, white hats are taking them as well and destroying them. And I know this is true. I could basically smell it on these things. My advice to you: you run across one of these things, get rid of it. If it's not in a public place, if it's just out somewhere when you're hiking or something, it's not a piece of art. Even some of them have those little triangle shapes on them, those little shiny metal triangle divots in them. That's the exact pattern that these insectoid implants take within the chest and causing some of the COVID symptoms. You see, all these signals have to have, to some extent, most extent, another means of connecting, kind of like if you have a remote control for a television. You have to have something connecting them, like a circuit. And those, even though those implants are blocking your connective circuitry in the chest and allowing other attachments and other stuff in there, and the lowering of the immunity as well, they had to connect to their sources. And these obelisks are helping do that. So my advice to you is take them for scrap metal. As long as they're not in a public area, like visible public area where you get in trouble or anything. Normally I would not promote any sort of vandalism, but help the white hats out and get rid of these things. People are making jokes about them and stuff like that, but they don't need to be there anymore. They're reaffirming not only that, what I've mentioned before with the lower vibration, but they're affirming voice to skull. Even if you have to put like an orgone device, a magnet, stick something to them, put something around them to disrupt them, bury orgone devices near them, something. Preferably take them away. But If you have to, bury some magnets and stuff around them. Do something. These things are causing more of this COVID fear that is actually out there. And it's trying to ground this so when the vaccines come out, the vaccines actually do as what these people, and I use that term lightly, designed them for. Designed it for. It won't work if you are in a very high vibrational place and if you're in your creative non-time center. If you are being influenced by these devices, chances are you'll be affected by the RNA resequencer within the vaccines. See, it's all leading up to the vaccines. Notice the layers of this plant. It's a layer cake. Did you notice all the layers in there? That even some layers and some components aren't being seen. Like Sherlock Holmes would say, after all the obvious basically has been eliminated, whatever's left, no matter how improbable, is the truth. This is the no matter how improbable area. You got to put aliens into this. You have to put so-called conspiracy theories into this. People, this is not your new normal. There's no such thing as the new normal. Do not accept this. Ever. All of these things are connected. Whether you're connecting the dots or not is irrelevant. All of these things are connected. And they're preventing you from connecting the dots. Granted, you have to be more assertive within yourselves and be more grounded and be more creative. Just be in that center. Granted, I know the ones that aren't sometimes are, as Viking likes to say, on contract, and they are where they need to be, or as Joanna likes to say, they are where they are. But there's also such thing as overage. These are all the dots that are needing to be connected. See, these things are starting to appear just prior now to the solstice and the beginning of the year. Don't let 2021 become a shitty year like 2020. Don't do it. Don't allow it. Don't co-create. Well, this is just our new normal. Don't co-create it. And also for people running events and stuff like that, don't just automatically become capitulant to the COVID restrictions like it's going to cross into 2021. Don't allow it. Say no to it. But do it in a more passive way. Don't go up to the people and go, no, I refuse to do that. Sometimes that works. In some situations it does work. Most times I've noticed that if you confront the programming fights back and then you don't get to accomplish any of your goals. Keep the peace, but also resist. When you're at your events, if they're outside, just once you're in a place, don't be wearing your mask. Don't be doing the social distancing or anything like that. If you don't call attention to what you're doing, if you don't be a William Wallace and call attention to your resistance. Low key. Low key seems to be the key at the moment. In some cases. Other cases, yeah, I guess a good middle finger is just fine too. But in some of these cases, low key. Just like we saw at some of the fairs. 80% of the people weren't social distancing, masks, none of it. I knew of a place, and I'm not going to, and it's not associated with the fairs. I'm not even going to say what the venue is because I don't want these other people getting in trouble. And it has nothing to do with the fairs. Nothing I've mentioned has to do with any of the fairs we've been at, and we're vendors. I saw an establishment that from day one, when they reopened after the lockdown, not once did they enact even a single COVID restriction. Not one inspector ever showed up. Not one member of the public ever tattled on them. A couple employees wear masks periodically, but none of the kitchen staff do in the back. None of the customers do. They don't enact the in-between bites crap like some restaurants I've seen do it. I'm looking at you, Phoenix. Uh, but these inspectors do not show up. If anybody's terrified that these inspectors are going to show up, I'll tell you what I told a hotel manager. I've seen Sasquatch, I have seen UFOs, and I have seen ghosts. Not once have I ever seen a COVID inspector of any kind. The only people I've ever seen come in to try to rain on people's parade are other members of the public, the ones that are being controlled already. Those people, the pre-programmed ones that are put back in society to be a pain in the butt, and the ones that think they're being righteous and think they're fighting for a cause like a holy night or something. Yeah, no. Like, oh my God, you're hurting everybody. You're risking lives. Those people. But I have not once, even recently, seen any of those people. It's starting to die back in a meaningful way in some areas. In some areas, it's getting worse. But it's fluctuating in a good way. But my point is, and then this made the hotel manager very angry when I said that. It's like, I've never seen these people. You're not going to get in trouble. And no people at any events are going to turn these people in. Any of the really smart people, we're not going to turn you in. If you're hearing this, we are not going to turn you in. We aren't like that. Just respect us back by having your events and having them regular normal and not new normal. Just do it that way. But low key, like any outdoor events, no inspectors are going to show up. Indoor events, again, same thing. This place, this other establishment, like I said, I'm not going to tell what it is because I don't want somebody coming to look, then actually screw them over and rain on their parade. But that business was proof that there are no inspectors. So don't co-create something that doesn't exist. It was just some words that were put out there one time. Oh, inspectors will show up. No, they won't. I have never seen it, and I've been several places. And I've talked to several people in other states, too. They don't show up. No matter what you do, they don't show up. You can throw your mask on the floor and throw a fit. I've never seen this. The most you see is other people trying to remove you from a business or something like that. But I've never seen anybody throw anybody out. The most I saw is at the beginning of the year, cops were trying to arrest people for reopening their businesses, and they did. And even the state of Oregon was threatening to arrest people trying to keep a roof over their head. You can't do that. It's not a law. But authority figures, cops, all of them just seem to go along with it. Not all of them. I've seen several resist it too. So it's not everybody. I'm not cop dumping at the moment. But the point is, the stuff they're saying is happening. Like the inspectors going around, going door to door. I've even read this on the internet, seen this on different news programs. It is not happening. The most things I've ever seen go through a neighborhood are those invisible military guys, those soldiers that I've spoken about on multiple occasions. It's the most I've seen going through neighborhoods, folks. Also, if you are on the other end of this and you are an avid mask wearer and all this other stuff, know that nobody would be paying attention to you if you weren't bashing people that just want to live their lives. Nobody would be paying attention to you. Like I said, for my end of it, low key. You guys got to stay low key as well and mind your own business and know that nobody is spreading a barely there sickness. The most important thing in all this is to stay out of that fight, but I'm also not blind either, and I know this is a psyops. I know it is a major, major psyops. And I'm sorry to say, those that you're bashing people like us for being conspiracy theorists, and it's like, oh, how hard is it just to put a mask on? Well, it has nothing to do with how hard it is to put it on. It's the symbolism of it. It's the knowing that it is a psyops, and that you are continuing to perpetuate the propaganda and the psyops by continuing the mask culture. That's the point right there. It has nothing to do with how hard it is to put on. And in some cases, yes, I've had to use it, the face shield. I choose the face shield. Just like going to some of the fairs, I've had to do it to keep some of our standing in place. But the people around know it's BS. They know it's BS and they take it off during the days. Uh, but anyway, uh, I know it's best to stay out of that fight, but I'm also not blind, and I know that this is a psyops. If you are, again, afraid of this sickness, quote unquote, you cannot stop the so-called spread this far into it. If any of the beginning of the year had any sort of validity, it doesn't now. Which it didn't then, but I'm just saying, in theory, people that know viruses and all this, it's like trying to stop the cold. It's trying to social distance from the cold. You're not going to be able to do this. You got to have some brains here. You can't do it. So leave people alone. Let them live their life. And if you are scared of this, just stay home. Let people live their life. And don't tattle on people just because they're not socially distant and not wearing a mask. That's all that's required, is to mind your own business and just live your own life. That's the only requirement. Find what gives you peace and go live it. Don't be concerned like a neighborhood snoop going, oh my God, what's that person doing over there? Don't care about it. Just live your life. That's how you're going to break the programming. You are being programmed if you're doing that. Not too long from now, I sat in an office about a couple seats away from this older gentleman that just gave me this dirty look and then walked away. Don't even give the dirty look. Don't even be in the building if you're that scared. Why would you do that to yourself? And also, to anybody trying to hand masks out inside stores, those are for the medical industry and for handymen, people building things, sanding things, grinding things. Don't be giving them out in the stores. Those aren't for the customers in the stores. Those aren't for you. Those are for medical, and those are for people in carpentry, people in sanding, all that kind of stuff. That's where these things belong. Don't be trying to hand them out to people in the store. Don't be jumping in front of people if they're not wearing one. Just back away and mind your own business. Your job is not worth turning into somebody like that. I've always warned people in the past, long before this, if you jump out in front of people like cell phone salesmen of any kind, don't jump out in front of people like that. You're going to find somebody that's incredibly impatient, and you're going to end up getting hurt. Whereas people like me have warned you, don't do that. Don't act like that. Just step out of the way, and don't point out the fact the person doesn't have a mask on. Just go about your day. If you get fired from the job, you were supposed to get fired from that job. It's not worth it. It's not worth becoming entrenched in the psyops. I know from a young person's perspective, the job is everything. You're wanting money, you're wanting independence, all that other stuff. Right now, set the want for the money aside and actually be who you are supposed to be. Grow into the person you are supposed to become. Do not do that to people. That shows what you will eventually become. This is a new age with a new energy. Embrace it. Don't embrace the psyops. I know I went off on a little bit of a rant, but I've seen that here. I haven't seen it completely here since like April or May, where they had WalMarts and stuff turned into almost like CDC centers here, where people were in suits and everything. And yes, I did see that here, and it was just disgusting. And now that's gone, but in some little areas I still see it. And if you are a business owner, if it gives you comfort to wear a mask, fine, by all means, do it, even though I just said it was a psyops. But if it gives you comfort, do it. Do not enforce it on the general public. Do not enforce it. And don't enforce it on your employees. If it's a personal thing, don't enforce it. That's trying to enforce your fears on multiple people. Do not have your employees required to wear these. I've heard of people collapsing because of this, and it's causing more sickness because you're getting your own air breathed back at you. This is just thinking your way through that part of it, feeling your way through it, and just notice the environment around you. Don't enforce it on your customers. Don't enforce it on your employees. It's just a personal choice. You're not going to stop the spread, quote unquote, because if something's already out there, it's part of the culture now. You got to know that's true because it's happened time and again in the past with every single so-called virus, contagion that's out there. Who thinks about some of the other ones out there like the cold or any of those, or even West Nile? Come on, who really thinks about that one anymore? Hardly, because it's been integrated and everything's fine. So do not imprint your fears on others. If you are that concerned, let somebody else take the reins of your business, help you run it, and you just stay home and watch television, where you're getting your information from. So to recap, obelisks bad. Actually been planned for many years with the link to COVID, link to 5G, link to these aliens. Keeping the 3D malaise down. Vaccines bad. If you're in a higher vibration, your etheric DNA will actually create a template of the DNA the way it's supposed to be. So if an RNA rewriter goes in there, the etheric DNA is going to cancel out the error that the rewriter is doing. But you have to actually be in that vibration. You cannot stay in this malaise. I know it's difficult with all that's going on not to get enthralled, but you can't stay in this malaise. And I know some of you are going to insist me talking about the masks is getting enthralled. And like I've said in the past, it's become a symbol. It's become a symbol for both sides. Either hating it, fearing it, loving it. It's become almost like a religious icon at this point. And you got to know that's true. On all sides. Doesn't matter who. It's become an icon. And it's best to step away from that. But I'm just reporting my observances with people that are in the psyops. The mask psyops itself. And I know in some ways, focusing it too much on it, on the opposite end, becoming to the violent end of it, that is also part of the psyops. I get it. I would never cross into that at all. I'm just pointing out these observances. But again, also, if you're a business owner, please do not enforce this on other people, general public. Don't have some greeter handing out masks. Don't have your employees, young employees usually, insisting that walking 10 feet to your table in a restaurant, you have to wear a mask. Again, I'm looking at you, Phoenix. And insisting that everyone else must follow you. And don't act like you're going to beat people up if they don't. There was another scenario, though, before I go here, I'll report this. Where there was somebody I read, I'm not going to say his name, he went in for cancer treatments. And all these people at the desk could focus on is he wasn't wearing a mask. He couldn't because he couldn't breathe in it. He had lung cancer. You know, they're not putting that into account. All they could see was, oh my God, you're not wearing a mask. Mask, 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 mask. And no matter what he said, sir, mask, 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 mask. That's all they could do. They couldn't hear him. They literally could not hear him. And then when he said absolutely not, of course, he got a hold of his lawyer, and the lawyer went down all the points of the mask mandate and said they were in violation because he had a condition that required he couldn't wear it. But then they were all grumpy and acting like they were going to beat him up. Yeah, you're going to beat up a cancer patient. Yeah, great behavior. Guys, real upstanding. These are people that were on the edge before this happened. Now they're even worse in some areas. And just some can't get over that hump, and they couldn't before. Well, anyway, if you're in this crowd, if you're like a receptionist at a desk, please don't act like that. Don't act like you're going to beat somebody up because they're not wearing a mask. And like I said, it's a live and let live. It's a personal choice. And the doctor, who was their boss, was mortified at their behavior, but yet would not fire them. So that's also part of the psyops. If you're an employer and you have employees doing that to other people, no matter what side of the fence they're on, and they're being horrible like that, get rid of them and hire new people. Don't allow that. That reflects badly on you. And I see this all over. It's a very dangerous psyops. This is right up there with flat Earth, everybody. Sorry, guys. Not sorry. The Earth is round. This is right along the line of flat Earth. That's how dangerous this psyops is, and this is why it is so crucial that you not get completely involved more than what I've already stated. Stand up for yourself. There's times where you stand up for yourself in that way by saying no. Other times where you have to remain low key. You will know what situations are that each tactic has to be applied within. But also, most importantly, don't give in to the gaslighting. The cabal is creating gaslighting to try to get you into a violent revolution. Don't buy into it. In some cases, it'll work, and in some cases, it would not. Most cases, it would not. This is a gaslighting technique to try to get the crowd riled up. This is also what these obelisks are doing. They're enforcing that signal. Don't fall for it. Granted, in defense, yes. But also don't become a public spectacle either. You see this on the news. You see people giving into and becoming part of the propaganda machine, as I call it, where the news catches somebody that's grieving in a horrible state. They catch them at their lowest time, and basically then say, "Oh, say it was COVID that did this. Just say it was COVID." And I'm not being insensitive to anybody that's lost anybody because of this. Farthest thing from the truth. But again, whoever's listening to this and has lost somebody, this was not COVID that did it. It was something else. That the vibration was lowered enough, or their constitution was lowered enough to where something else got them. In most cases. And then you were told it was COVID. Then you wanted to go on the revolutionary warpath on the news and say, "No, everybody, no, it's so dangerous." You've just become part of the problem. Don't do that. Grieve in silence, away from news reporters, and grieve with family and with friends and supporters. Don't go to the press, because they will twist it. Don't do this, or you become part of that propaganda machine. Again, not being insensitive at all. Not at all. I'm caring enough to say this. Don't become part of that machine. Grieve in silence with your family and friends. And even if you post something on Facebook, but please, for the love of God, don't say it was COVID that killed them. Or else that will fuel more of it on social media. The press will grab that. They look for that stuff. They eat it up. Don't do it. Even if a doctor told you, just say this person passed. This person was sick for a while. Please do not say it was COVID. Even if somebody told you, don't add the words COVID-19 or coronavirus anywhere in the sentence. If you're saying it in private, all right. Public, bad. That's all I'm saying. And then you become part of the psyops. I'm telling you where the psyops begins and your private life ends. Don't fall for it. So, okay, I'm done ranting for the day. Just because I sound mad doesn't mean I'm mad. This is just what the download was as it was coming through. Overall, stay out of the fight as much as possible. Don't give in to gaslighting. Don't give in to the psyops. But also know when to say no in a vocal way, but also know when to say no in the passive way. But overall, it's got to be the rules of what Viking and I call the silent army. As you change from within, you're changing the energies around, and as long as you're in your creative, passionate center. That's the overall, and changes from within. But if there are stages where you have to resist it because of defense purposes, cool. And don't give in to the gaslighting. I cannot stress that enough. And get rid of the obelisks and disable them in some way because they are hurting people. So, thank you everybody for listening to this bit of a rant this morning. It's 7:08 a.m., December 7th, Monday, 2020. Thank you. Okay. Before this leaves my head, this morning caught those same military people. I use that term lightly. People would at least learn to listen. Caught those military people with those psionic weapons trying to do damage in California. I'm not going to name the exact incident, but I saw their energy signatures stretching all the way from middle to northern California into Oregon, also around Shasta in that area, and underground conduits going all the way through where they tend in California, where they tend to do some of the satanic rituals up north. Some of them were stretching down to the south, but this will also be why that Cabal family I mentioned is actually leaving the area, is because they're under siege from someone else. They're backed up against the ocean for whatever reason. And that Cabal family, to escape prosecution, went off to Europe. Surprisingly enough, the last recording I did on that family, I can't find it. So, and it's not even in the numbering, because all the files are numbered, and it's gone. So, you heard us talk about it on our Patreon anyway. I'll link this to the Monolith recording. I knew there was a reason I hadn't posted that one yet. Along with 2 other military recordings, incidences as well. But as of this morning, they are in a fight with someone. That I'll give you. And they're trying to keep people asleep in the state of California. They just locked down the state again for no reason. And, with the whole COVID thing. And they're trying to shove people out of California in some fashion. And the ones that are there, they're turning them into a sheer panic. And it's getting ridiculous. And they're going street to street with one of those parabolic weapons that I told you about that had the little lever on the side of it. And sometimes they're making it seem as if aliens are only doing it, but they're doing it for the most part. Aliens are helping them, insectoids, some Eben groups, other greys and reptilians, but for the most part it's this human group. And they just walk street to street, keeping people in this low vibration, in this panic state. And they're unseen because they're in a different vibration. You've heard me talk about them a dozen times. But but they are fighting somebody there. It's like the whole state of California has become a complete war zone, and it's leached into Arizona across like an L shape. But it's I haven't seen some of these soldiers lately, except a couple of times. But it's like they're all retreating into California, and the lockdown is part of this. It's almost like they're the ones being quarantined, or the warring is being quarantined. And they're getting the cops and everybody to fall for this to actually keep people in their homes or keep people from entering or exiting the state to a more minor extent. And no reason. Border checks, it's all interlinked. So it's all interwoven. Like what I said about that plans for that wall that time is more than just Mexicans. It's alien and other things going on in the background. But like I said, I'll link this to the Monolith recording and a couple others. But suffice to say, COVID, all of this is all interlinked into this. And COVID itself, I'm beginning to suspect it's merely artificial intelligence. Is all I've been seeing is nano infections. But as I've been told, that still can constitute as a type of infection. There are nano contagions out there that the Galactics are always having to protect against. But it still doesn't mean you lock it down. There is a way to actually get rid of them all at once. There is a command that can be sent to them that gets rid of them all at once. They don't have to necessarily be lingering as a plague. That means the whole thing is controlled. Also, any of the tests that come up positive for coronavirus, that could be a common cold, because that's a type of coronavirus. There's several. So all of this intermixed together, along with the supposed silent war that's going on in the background, you're seeing the after effects of this. It's like seeing the explosion without seeing the weapon that did it. And you're just seeing the after effects. You're not seeing the cause, you're seeing the effect. And catching them this morning in California, like I did months ago, before the fires started there, I actually caught them trying to plan out over the next several months what they were going to do then. This was just before the first set of lockdowns in March and April. And I caught them in Northern California again, saying, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is this is a multi-stage plan. We're going to lock down this. We're going to choke these businesses out. We're going to start this fire here, burn these houses down here, and then it's going to allow us to come in and set this up here and do this here." And also on top of that, another thing that got us attacked was on Interstellar Council yesterday was what was said about the recalled Newsom thing. That guy's a Nazi as far as I'm concerned. Doing this, they're attempting to recall him. There's over 1 million people wanting to recall him right now. But all of this is interlinked. Anybody that's on the surface like Newsom is just a puppet. It's a figurehead. Like the governor of Michigan was for the whole Flint water thing that had happened back then. He was the puppet. The real thing was going on in Lake Huron in the base that's under there. Same similar type of thing. Newsom's the puppet. He knows he's acting the way he's acting. He's doing it on purpose. It's a distraction to get you to not aim at the correct targets, even though he technically is a correct target, folks. He's as evil as they come. Him, Cuomo, and a couple others. But evil as they come, but he's still, even though he's part of the integral cog in the machine, he's still the puppet distractor. You got to look around your environment, not just at the person, but around your environment and observe your environment as to what is actually going on around you. Like what we said about the fire starter people. The controlled people that were going around like the forest areas on fire. Several were caught around the time we first mentioned that. So keep observing the same way you were doing for that. California especially. It is it seems to be a hub. New York seems to be another one. Those two on opposite ends of the country, if you were trying to have an outpost, what would you do? You'd have flanking on both sides. It's a military tactic. So that's what I caught them doing today. They were upping the ante, but they're getting ready here to do something fairly big. Not spooking anybody, but they're upping the binary network like you wouldn't believe. The AI activity is off the charts, and their activity is off the charts too. And they are getting ready to do something around. Well, it'll be the 21st when you hear this. Either the day before or on the 21st when you hear this. So they are getting ready to do something fairly big. So keep your eyes peeled. And I catch them doing anything else, I'll let people know. It's 11:48 a.m. on Saturday, December 19th, 2020. Thank you. Forgot one thing. The people around you are going to go even more stupid, especially with the COVID thing. If people would realize that it's a descriptor title and not an actual thing, it'd be better. What I was going to say was, if you're like one of the stable ones, you might have people around you going absolutely bonkers or batshit, and that's one of the things that they're not able to alter you, and they do try. They have done this to me, where they try to aim this weapon at me, and the most they do is give me a damn headache. I've noticed various orgone pieces can actually stop them. Not always the prettier kind. It's usually the rougher kind, like we sell. Large amounts of magnetics seem to stop it. None of these guys are around at the moment. But if anything, and psychically, this is going to wreak holy hell on you if you're energy sensitive. But also, as an energy sensitive and as a psychic, you guys most of all need to be looking around and observing your environment more closely. So I've seen several of you slip lately. That you start buying into this. Don't. You've got to keep your thoughts stable. You've got to keep your energy stable, and you have to be grounded. Hematite. Orgone pieces. Amber. Doing the Dreamtime revocation you hear us talk about. You can't be as unstable as the others. So that's what I wanted to add to this. So 11:52 a.m. Saturday, December 19th, 2020. Thank you.